sugar, spice, and everything nice. With a little help from Chemical X, created this super-powered group called the Powerpuff Girls. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup made it their life's mission to save the people of Townsville from the forces of evil. That's great and all, but who really is the strongest out of all of them? Blossom is the leader and she has ice breath. Bubbles can talk to animals. And countless people within the show, including the end song, say that Buttercup is the toughest fighter. So the answer should be Buttercup, right? I mean, she is the strongest fighter. What does the show visually tell us? It's time to dig a little deeper and find out who really is the strongest Powerpuff Girl. To figure this out, I sat down to watch every Powerpuff Girl episode from the original series. That's 79 episodes spanning 6 seasons worth of content. Yes, I know there's a reboot, but we don't talk about that. While watching, I created a spreadsheet of their powers, ranking them from 1 to 10. 1 being really weak, and 10 being the strongest. From the first episode to the last, I wrote down every time their power was ineffective and effective. And I wrote down how many times they got the final blow, and how many times they were defeated. After all this research, I added up all of their powers, plus the final blows, minus the number of defeats to get a total. There, probably was an easier way to do this, but you know, I'm no mathematician. Before we get started, comment down below what your hypothesis is on who is the strongest Powerpuff Girl. From creating laser beams to their speed and durability, these girls have no shortage of powers. Here's a huge giant list of all of them. So many. Instead of looking at all of them, we're just going to look at the most used abilities. So the core abilities we're looking at today are strength, speed, durability, stamina, heat vision, and tornado creation. Each girl has her own special powers as well. Blossom has ice breath. Bubbles can talk to animals, and Buttercup really doesn't have one. I mean, she can curl her tongue, but that's really not that useful. Instead, I gave her a leg up on her fighting skills. Now that we have all of that out of the way, here's how everyone ranked up in their powers. The leader of the group, the strategist. She's always looking at any situation logically. Her powers rank as 8 in strength, 7 in speed, 8 in durability, 8 in stamina, 8 in heat vision, 4 in tornado creation, and 9 in ice breath. Overall, she's very well balanced. If we add all of this up, we get a score of 52 overall. The cute and funny one until you cross her. Her power score is a 7 in strength, 8 in speed, 8 in durability, 10 in stamina, 5 in heat vision, 4 in tornado creation, and 7 in talking to animals. Overall, she's hardcore when it comes to her speed and her stamina, but not the most reliable when it comes to her heat vision. Bubbles is a force of good for not only the people of Townsville, but the animals of the forest as well. Adding them all up, Bubbles scores a 49, just shy of Blossom. The Brawler. Don't mess with her or you're gonna get punched in the face. Her powers are ranked at a 10 in strength, 6 in speed, 7 in durability, 7 in stamina, 6 in heat vision, 5 in tornado creation, and 7 in fighting skills. Buttercup may be the strongest, but her speed and stamina need some work. Even without a special power, she still manages her own in battle, scoring a 48 overall in her powers. When it comes to using their powers, Blossom barely takes the gold. She is the most well-balanced and uses more of her abilities than her fists or speed to save the day. Her ice breath has come in handy more than once, and her critical thinking helps her figure out what the best power is to save the day. This is a lot easier than Buttercup's head-on approach or whatever Bubbles comes up with. If we just take into consideration powers, Blossom would be our winner. But we're not, so on to the next category. Looking at the number of times they knock out enemies was pretty satisfying. How this works is anytime Blossom, Bubbles, or Buttercup get a final blow of anything or anyone, monsters, villains, or civilians. That's right, they do sometimes knock out innocent people, but whatever. Anytime they knock out anything, they get a point. If any of the Powerpuff Girls get knocked out themselves or are unable to fight, we subtract a point. Let's see how they stack up. Buttercup may be the strongest and the weakest when using her powers, but she does pack a punch. In 79 episodes, Buttercup was able to rack up 192 knockouts. The most notable are when she outlifts a superhero named Big Ben. She was able to beat up all of the members of the Gangrene Gang all by herself, and she scared away a monster because she smelled so bad. Yeah, the show is kinda weird. When it comes to her own defeats, she has been defeated 40 times. Adding up all of her powers and her knockouts minus her defeats, her final total 200. The one that scored the highest on her powers with a score of 52, will this score be enough to help her? Throughout all of the original Powerpuff Girl episodes, Blossom racks up 182 final knockouts. The most notable is her defeat of Princess, where she uses her speed and her photographic memory and her ice breath to destroy Princess's new super suit. She racks up the same amount of defeats as Buttercup with 40. Adding it all up, her final total is 194. The Speedster. With her powers, she's middle of the pack. Will she have enough to knock down Buttercup from the top spot? In 6 seasons worth of fighting villainy, Bubbles takes down 274 enemies. In one episode, she manages to take down 60 enemies all by herself, and then another one, she takes down 5 giant monsters. She's the only one to outwit him, and she's the only Powerpuff Girl to knock out her other sisters. She did think she was Mojo Jojo at the time, but it still counts. With that being said, Bubbles is the least defeated Powerpuff Girl with 39. Totaling it all up, Bubbles scores 284, making Bubbles the strongest Powerpuff Girl out of this video. Why would that be? Throughout all of the episodes of the Powerpuff Girls, Bubbles is the most complex and easiest to write for. In one episode, it's established that she has a hardcore side, causing her to strike out on her own. This episode is one of my favorites, but it also opens the door to Bubbles' development as a character. She's no longer just the silly one who likes to color. She can flip a switch and rage out if she wants. The other two don't really have this luxury. They're stuck behind their stereotypes and their egos. Bubbles can be a chaotic wild card who can do whatever she wants when she wants. If she robs a bank and then saves a cat from being stuck in a tree, we'll all just shrug because that's just Bubbles being Bubbles. Blossom and Buttercup can't do this. Buttercup has to be the aggressive, stubborn one, and Blossom has to be the smart leader. That's just how they were written. These traits and their egos only get worse as seasons go on. After watching the series, it kind of felt bad for Blossom and Buttercup because they actually deserved better. These two should be stronger or at least equal to Bubbles' strength. I mean, maybe not when Bubbles is in rage mode, because rage mode Bubbles is kinda terrifying, but I feel like Blossom and Buttercup should be stronger than her on a normal day. Bubbles normally is coloring and doing nothing. Of course, all of this is just an assumption and my hot take on it. Anyways, once again, the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls, but you know, mostly Bubbles. And that's a wrap! Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun rewatching this show. Let me know if you agree or disagree on who's the strongest. Remember to be kind and considerate to everyone's points of views. Till next time.